Hey there! We'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you're helping us spread the word and connect with more amazing people like you.
Welcome to We Be Parents, where parent doctors Matthew Letterman and Alona Pulday explore current parenting topics, share stories, and help bring families closer together.
Hello, and welcome to We Be Together, where we explore the moments that build or break connection across generations. I'm Dr. Alona Pulday.
Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Letterman.
And we are happy to be here with you all today. Today's episode looks at one of the smallest ways that connection gets ruptured, and also the one that's hardest, or at least one of the hardest to stop. Correcting someone's details, even gently, and how it can really impact connection and shut down vulnerability in seconds. We're going to look today at what drives that impulse, why it matters more than you think, and how to stay with the heart of someone's story, even if their facts are off. But before we jump in, let's do a little check-in. How are you doing?
Before we check in, I want to ask everybody to please subscribe and share the podcast. Please feel free to email us at together@webetogether.com. And we are excited to hear from you.
Yes, we are. All right. So before we jump in today, Matt, how you doing?
I am doing well. I was a little stressed this morning.
Yes.
You know those times where you have like a plan and then it doesn't work out?
It all turns on its head in a moment's notice.
Well, the problem is
having children.
Yeah. I create these plans and every minute is accounted for. So if I just as much...
Now there's a podcast topic.
There's a problem, right? All right. So you're correcting me.
I'm with you in this story.
All right. No, I'm kidding. So the problem was, I get one thing and it starts to weigh. 2, it starts to stretch. And 3, it was like bursting.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
Yeah.
And then I get irritable because it's not working out.
Yes.
And then I see the impact of my irritability on everybody else. And then I feel bad about that. And then I get frustrated that I'm getting irritable. It's a whole downward spiral.
Oh, boy. What a morning. And that all happened, before 8 o'clock this morning?
So that's me.
Busy morning. Yeah.
How about you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. This is a really interesting topic for me because it takes a variety of different avenues. And at first, and I'll get into it a little bit more, I was like, yeah, I do this sometimes, but this is not one of my pain points. And then it hit me another way that it shows up in life. I was like, ooh, I do that a lot. So we'll get into all of the different ways that we correct before connecting and the impact that has.
And this actually came up for you through something else that you read that sort of frustrated you in a way somebody responded to me. And you don't have to get into the details of what happened or who it was, but it sort of started bubbling up and then it became more and more of an issue. And then we said, oh, this is actually a bigger topic, right?
Yeah, well, I started to notice how pervasive it actually is in our society because it's something that sometimes, or often at least, I didn't notice in the moment. I noticed the impact on the connection, but I didn't notice and correlate it exactly to the correction. And yeah, so what happened was you wrote an article and somebody, and there was a gist of the article, and somebody took a fact that wasn't exactly correct and pulled that out and named it. And when I read the comment, I found myself a little jolted, like surprised, like, why would somebody take the time to make that minute correction?
Also, there was a hey, see that you don't do that again type of thing at the end.
Right.
And there was no comment on the actual heart. So it was almost like the goal and the point of the article was not seen, or at least it wasn't acknowledged.
Yes.
And then focus on this, which was about their needs for accuracy and then So really it was disconnecting.
After I read it, I even went back to read the article to see like, wait a minute, was that a big piece of the article that I missed? And it really, it was like neither here nor there. It was completely insignificant in what you wrote. And so then I started thinking like, why is that? There must be a need that is being met. Otherwise somebody wouldn't take the time to actually do that. So what needs are being met when we strive for accuracy over connection in a moment? And then I started noticing it shows up a lot in little things that we do throughout the day, whether it's, our child uses a word that we would use differently, or we would choose a different word, or they come and say, and this is where I found myself correcting, where they come and say, nobody likes me, or I don't have any friends. And I'll jump in and say, of course you do. That's a correction. I'm seeking accuracy, which is, of course you have friends. They're lamenting over something that is bothering them.
So when you reassure them or try to help them see it differently, that's about your needs. And they're busy feeling their pain around not having friends. And rather than get that pain acknowledged and held, we shift to our needs.
Yeah, I'm pulling them out of the story. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what drives that need for accuracy. The first insight that I had is sometimes we use accuracy as kind of a personal armor, a way to quell our own fears or bring ourselves back into control, right the world. If the fact is correct, then everything else is okay in the world. And if the fact is off or the story is off, then it almost destabilizes us somehow. So it's an effort to regain control in a situation, an urgency to fix or clarify.
Yeah, there could be different needs.
Right.
Definitely, we call it in nonviolent communication the fix-it jackal.
Yes.
Which is either trying to fix the pain or fix the information, or
yes.
And it's not that that's wrong. It's not that it's even unhelpful at times. It could even be helpful in the moment, but it takes away from the connection.
I think that's the thing. It's not a right or wrong situation. It's more, what is the impact in a given moment? And maybe it's, hold on to that for a second. There's time to correct after you've had an opportunity to connect. And also to discern, is it really necessary to correct? Like in a joke or a story, and you're expressing your frustration in the story. Oh, we were in the airport for like 17 hours when really it was 5. Does somebody really need to make the point that it was 5 and not 17? The bigger story there is that it felt like forever sitting at the airport.
Right.
The exact number of hours probably doesn't matter much.
Right. And at the same time, it can be upsetting, or there's like a discomfort when somebody exaggerates stories to where it's not a shared reality.
Yes.
So it's there's needs for shared reality. There's needs for trust. There's needs for being seen in the way you want to be seen, there's so many needs. And that's where I think it's helpful, instead of deciding, is it okay or not okay to correct, to focus on the connection between you and the other person and determine what's going to serve that connection most in this moment. And if you're going to correct or fix, check if the other person is ready to receive that and interested in it. If not, you have the facts that you need so that you're good. The question is, does it help the other person? And if you're just throwing it at the other person, it can be off-putting, even if it's correct. And that reminds me of the story when I was at dinner at a friend's house, and the daughter came down and was talking and said something that was grammatically incorrect. And the parent in the front of the group corrected them. And I could see the child just sort of shut down. and then didn't fight back. Clearly that they knew that wasn't going to be helpful. But it also was extremely disconnecting. Why? Because you want your child to learn proper grammar? Oh, that's a great goal, but is that supportive in the moment? And when we see kids that shut down and don't talk, we have to think about what we're doing that's increasing the chances that they're going to shut down and not talk, or that they have learned that for whatever reason, talking is not as comfortable, for at least at times. I think that's a perfect opportunity. If we're correcting them, we're contributing to that problem.
Yes. Yes. That story reminds me, I have a friend, and my friend used to do that, to stand up and correct as a way to get into a conversation. And the irony of it all is the more she did that, the more she was alienated out of the conversation because it wasn't appreciated. There was no discernment around, is this the time? And does this actually contribute to our connection? So I think you nailed it. It's not about right or wrong. It's about discernment. It's about when and where and what are you contributing or severing in the process. And then to have eyes on that, because in that situation that you shared with the daughter and the mom, it's not like there wasn't an opportunity for repair there. As soon as the mom saw the daughter shut down, she could have owned her own, faux pas. Oops.
Right.
I did it again.
Right.
Or whatever, however you want to get out of that situation to humble yourself and backtrack. But I think that doesn't happen a lot because we're not aware of.
Well, we think our job as parents is to mold our children.
Yes.
So if we correct their grammar, we're like, oh, we just did it. We pat ourselves on the back. We just did a good job.
Right.
We're more competent as parents because we don't want children representing us as having poor grammar.
Right.
So it comes from needs as well that are trying to meet. Again, it's just disconnecting.
Yes. Yes. It's some tragic strategies to meet those needs, I think, or, disconnected.
So I'd love to share some insights that we came up with. And if you have thoughts or comments on them, I think that would be helpful. So one of the insights was that correction frequently feels like disconnection. What are your thoughts on that? And an example, child's, like you said, nobody likes me. And then the response is, that's not true, versus, ugh, that sounds lonely. Want to tell me more about that? So you see how one feels very different than the other.
Absolutely. There's a clear shutdown, a very clear, we don't share a reality, a very quick, I would see myself, if I were the person sharing that I didn't have any friends, a quick need to defend, which already is an indicator of disconnection. Mm-hmm. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then another one is that we can sometimes use accuracy as armor or a way to stay intellectual when we're uncomfortable or the heart space feels chaotic. So connecting is not always about control. It can be about fear. Facts give us this ability to hold on to something when emotions are chaotic. So, the sudden urgency to fix, to clarify or strain things out can be a way of avoiding vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I liked was that we build identity on being the one who's right.
Yes.
If we're right, that means, we're smart, we're valuable, we matter, we're the dependable one.
Right. It enhances our worthiness,
and
status.
And it's a slippery, it's not very stable, because if being right is when you're accepted and matter and have value, then boy, is it scary to get something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Quite so.
So if somebody says, for example, you never told me that, you had that meeting, and the other person, yes, I did. It was Thursday at 3. Or, what gets missed there? The feeling of being sort of, left out or not getting a need for inclusion. So you feel sad or hurt when you have that thought that you were left out. So connecting to that versus defending.
I like these insights. Any more?
So correction can be a clumsy bid for connection. And you talked about that one.
Yes. Yes, my friend. Yes. I like that clumsy vid for connection because I think that was it. The intention was good. She wanted to jump into the conversation. The strategy, not so effective.
And that's where we can, instead of saying, oh, we could do the same when we're trying to address this problem. So you could say, oh, they're correcting and you shouldn't correct. Now we're correcting them about correcting versus just guessing the need. Oh, okay. Are you wanting to be included in the conversation? Okay. And then figure out, or silently in your head say, oh, they really want to be included. That's why they're correcting.
The challenge is, and this is what I wasn't aware of until I read that comment on your article, was that more often than not, we shut down and we don't even recognize what created that situation. So I don't know that the girl that you mentioned could tie back, oh, my mom's correction was what shut me down. Or my friend kind of disrupting the conversation, the other people involved in the conversation might not connect it to the effort to correct. But when we can, yes, when we notice that initial disconnection, if we are mindful enough, that's a huge gift to be able to circle back and say, oh, was this your need? Or
no.
More often than not, people get upset. And then the cycle kind of perpetuates itself because the person who corrected will want to defend. The person who was corrected will want to defend. And then you're in a bickering kind of empathy collision.
Right. And those three, right? They could, when someone's corrected, they might respond by attacking back. They might respond by defending themselves, or they might respond by shutting down and not saying anything. All of those are signs that disconnection has occurred.
Yes. And I think sometimes it can be really embarrassing too, right? We talk about defending, but like sometimes when you're corrected, especially in public, which I imagine happened with a girl that you mentioned, it's really embarrassing. And you're not sure exactly what to do, but that hit is a really painful one.
So if you've been listening to us for a while, we get a lot of questions about what to do in tricky parenting or relationship moments.
Yeah, and if I'm being real, I'm asking Alona those same questions all the time. I get into those same tricky moments as everybody else does. And as much as we wish we could be there for each other in those exact moments, we just can't always be.
Yeah, that's why we partnered with the amazing team at Kinectin to create something we truly believe in, an AI coach called Amari. And we didn't just lend our names, we helped build it and train it and brought in everything we've learned about emotional healing, connection, and communication.
Yeah, we spent years training and learning, and we've created Amari, who is so calm and grounded, listens deeply and responds with warmth, clarity, and compassion. There's no judgment, no reactivity. In fact, we tasked our children with trying to get Amari reactive, and they still haven't succeeded. It's just steady support when you need it most.
We use it ourselves all the time, especially when we feel stuck or overwhelmed. And Amari's really helped us pause, reflect, given us insight that helps us come back to each other.
Yeah, we designed Amari to help you strengthen the relationships that matter most, starting with the one you have with yourself.
And we are so excited that you can try it now at webeparents.com and click on Kinectin with a K to sign up. And when you have your Amari moment, please let us know, as we'd love to hear about it.
So what do we do about it? What can we do?
So the tool for today is to help you focus on the experience instead of the words. Focus on their heart instead of the content of their words. And the 4 steps would be: 1, just pause that impulse. It's not something we can even fix if it's part of habit we already have. We can't, fix. It's not something we can stop if it's a habit we already have. So feel that urge to correct and name it. Oh, I want to jump in. I want to fix them. I do that sometimes, especially when the kids are sharing something where they're experiencing pain, or they had a really, loud inner critic, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I want to cheer them up. I want to correct them. I want to reassure them." But I just notice it. So 1 is pause the impulse. 2 is anchor to their feeling, not your fear. So ask, what are they trying to show me? What matters to them? What needs are they trying? What's happening in their heart? And try to anchor into that. And even if you're not sure, just the curiosity and the question around that is going to connect you. And remember, everything we're doing is trying to increase connection. It's not about you being right any more than it is about making them correct or right. So step 3 would be mirror the heart and not the headline. So that you can say, oh, that sounds really frustrating. That makes sense. Or even if you disagree with the details of what's upsetting them, can you connect to their pain? And then the 4 would be check in later about the facts, only if needed, only if it's going to contribute. Why am I dealing with facts now? Is this going to help them? And this came up, with our kids when they were trying to learn some new words in Hebrew, and they were saying something, and I corrected a word. I remember you saying, "Hey, is that going to be helpful?" And I checked in, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if that's helpful or not." And then asking them, "Hey, when you say a word that maybe is different than the way I would say it, do you find that helpful?" And then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So just asking them. So I wish I had done it where I said, "Oof, that's great, really cool that you're trying to express that. And, is it helpful if I would say it differently to tell you, or do you just want me to hear the words that you're trying to say right now?" So I think even asking them, because for me, it is helpful when I'm trying to speak a new language to learn the new words. But if I'm really out there trying and they correct me right away, I might feel embarrassed and not say anything. So it's finding that balance. But what was really cool was, I remember Marshall Rosenberg, the creator of nonviolent communication, saying that really good empathy does not care about the facts at all. And he was saying that he used to do an exercise where he would say, "I want you to empathize, write down your response to someone who says, I'm really upset right now that I'm so mad that President Biden is doing all the terrible things that he's doing right now." And then he would have people respond. And many of them would say, "Well, actually, it's Trump right now. It's not Biden." Rather than connect to the pain that they're experiencing around what's happening. And do you see what I'm saying? Like that to me was a great exercise to catch yourself on how you would respond with empathy first. And then you can say, "Hey, well, actually, do you want some more information about the different presidents?"
Yeah. I think the thing that stands out to me most in that tool and the invitation to our listeners is to connect with your impulse, because I think that we follow a pattern too. Like, when do we feel the impulse to correct? Is it when, there's no shared reality or a fact is misspoken, like Biden or Trump, who's the current president? Is it when we see our kids headed for a train wreck and we want to prevent that so badly? Is it to fix a pain that they're experiencing? Is it to prevent our partners from being embarrassed in front of a group of people, so we end up embarrassing them by correcting them ahead of time proactively rather than after the fact? So where do our tendencies lie in that? Because I think that the awareness around that helps us to pinpoint situations where that impulse might arise. And then it's easier to pause, because impulsivity is just that. It blurts out before we're actually conscious and aware of it. So if we have that mindfulness around where do we actually have that impulse to begin with, it makes us a little bit more mindful stepping into situations where that might have opportunity to come out. And then, from there, taking the rest of the steps, anchoring to the feelings, mirroring the experience and the heart, remembering that even when you're in empathy, you're not in agreement. You're in empathy for the other. You're stepping into the shoes and the world of the other person.
Yeah.
And then, check in later about the facts. And again, only if it's needed. I really like that part because probably more often than not, it's not needed.
Yeah, it's usually not needed. And ultimately just, asking, do you want my perspective on that? Do you want my reaction about that? Or you just want me to tell you what I'm hearing is important to you? And those are different requests. Honor their energy, not your urgency.
Oh, I like that. That allow connection to be maintained.
Yeah, exactly. Another example would be when the child, I think you said something like this, nobody wants to sit with me at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can start with, well, that's not true. You told me you sat with Sam just last week.
Yes.
Or,
oh, now I'm laughing because our youngest, Jordan, has a tendency to do that. If she's feeling the blues in some way, shape, or form, nobody likes me, even though, she has a ton of friends, or nobody wants to be my friend, or I'm whatever. She goes into Eeyore mode. Woe is me.
So when somebody says that,
Uh-huh.
to pause and just check yourself and just say, oof, I totally want to tell her about all the friends that she does have.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can sort of just check in. What's their energy? What's going on inside of them? Hey, and if something's feeling hard right now, and it's all about the present moment. And in this moment, something's feeling hard for them. Hey, tell me what happened today that felt so hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then let that happen. Your job is, to really hold on to that heart, not the facts.
Yeah. What makes you say that? For me, often it's like, oh, we got to get out of this pity party. But yeah, getting curious around, what brought that up?
What about pity parties doesn't meet needs for you? I think that's helpful to share.
What about pity party? I think there's space and time for pity parties. I have my own pity parties.
But why do you feel urgency to get people out of, or your kids?
Oh, my big thing is to fix it. Like, not have them in that pain, have a shared reality, I think I have an attachment to their happiness. And so I want to see more of that. And I think also, especially when it isn't a shared reality, when I know, if it's a real pain point, I think it's more easier to step into that vulnerability. But when it is purely, I guess it's always a pain point, even if it's not a shared reality. Something stimulated that, right?
Right.
But it probably would be my attachment to their happiness.
So it comes down to getting comfortable with them feeling unpleasant feelings.
Yeah. Ooh, and I think victimization. Like, where you feel like helpless or powerless or, oh, poor me, woe is me.
You want them to stay connected to their power and their choice.
Right. So they can mourn in a position of power over mourn in a position of
weakness.
Yeah.
And if
helplessness.
And if they're not, and is this okay that I keep asking?
Yeah.
If they're not connected to their power, why is that uncomfortable or unpleasant?
I think that stimulates fear in me that they're not going to be able to take care of themselves.
So peace of mind.
Yeah.
That they're going to be okay.
Yeah. I want to be able to navigate even the discomfort or the challenges versus kind of, raise their hands in the air and give up.
Yeah. So it comes back. That makes sense. So it feels like it's like this sense of peace of mind. They're going to be okay in this world.
Yeah.
And if they lose their power or give up their power or get stuck in helplessness, now they're vulnerable and aren't going to be able to take care of themselves.
Right. Or if they have that running loop of, oh, nobody likes me, I'm not likable, I'm not lovable. And that becomes the loop that their inner critic is speaking to them in.
It's going to keep them from making friends and community.
Right. It's going to perpetuate that belief.
Yeah.
So that's my impulse for correction is to fix and correct that
to make sure they're going to be okay in this world.
Well, and yes, and also correct
Anything that
is not a shared reality around even their experience.
Yes.
Whether it's that they're weak or powerless or isolated or, not enough or whatever that is. So that's the impulse that I have to really watch and take a pause on.
Yeah. So if we're going to reflect on this, I think you've done that pretty well about the times. I think it's helpful for listeners just to take a second and reflect on, when do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't think of time,
how do I do that?
Exactly. If you can't think of a time, give yourself a little more space to reflect, because I don't know of anybody who doesn't do this at some point.
Yeah. And I think it comes like the other day when you corrected the girls around the wording, I think it was almost like this automatic thing that there wasn't even awareness around it. If we hadn't just kind of talked about this topic and called it out.
Right.
And so, yeah. And I think it's not only relevant for parents, it's relevant and it lives very deeply in couples. And the motivation behind that in couples can get even more complicated.
Yeah. Especially when there's this universal value around being right, being correct, being factual. And it's extremely disconnecting. And at the same time, it's harder not to go to those habitual responsive patterns when we're tired, when we're under-resourced, when we're anxious. So, yeah, at the same time, we have to cut ourselves a little slack here. This is not going to be easy.
Yeah. And I think in couples, it shows up also sometimes in a need to be seen. And so as you're asking listeners to kind of think through what their impulse is, sometimes, even in public, it's if you're sharing a story about our experience and I feel like, I'm not even seen here, or he's missing the big picture or whatever that is, the impulse to jump in to be seen. And that lies even deeper in the couple dynamic, but then it shows up in public as this desire to correct, to be accurate, so again, an invitation to see where it can live with you.
Yes, and as your partner, just come back to that. How is this going to contribute to our connection?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not clear, why not wait? You can always say it later.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of We Be Parents is brought to you by We Be Calm, the child calmer designed by doctors and loved by parents.
Struggling with bedtime routines or managing your child's anxiety? We Be Calm transforms deep breathing into a fun and engaging activity, helping kids find their inner calm. Perfect for bedtime stressful moments or anytime your child needs a little extra help to stay calm. Visit webecalm.com to learn more and bring tranquility to your family. We Be Calm, because we be in this together.
All right, so how are we going to bring this home? How would you explain it to your family when you say, I just listened to this podcast, and it turns out I correct you guys a lot more than I would like to.
Yeah.
I imagine this.
Yeah. I imagine that could be uncomfortable. It is disconnecting or
makes you not want to talk.
Right. Or shuts you down. And I want to do it differently. So I think what's helpful there is to call it out, because for so many of us, it's kind of on autopilot and we don't recognize it. So to invite the family when it's noticed to just give a gentle reminder of, correction. And so that people become, have greater awareness around it. And then, the invitation is to practice the steps, to really practice pausing the impulse, connecting to the present moment, noticing the fear, stepping into the story, and then deciding if there's space and opportunity for correction.
Yeah. And this will happen all the time. So watch yourself about being the correction police about correction too.
Yeah, that's true.
So just watch that. We'll see our our kids. I mean, Kylie was correcting Jordan, the oldest, when Jordan was, I think, 1.
Oh, yeah.
Remember she used to, when Jordan would say, how was your day? How'd you do?
Yeah.
And Kylie would yell from any room, what'd you do? Not how'd you do? What'd you do, Jordan? And Jordan was like, barely learned English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she'd be like,
one
word. That's okay. How'd you do? And then,
Yes.
no, what'd you do?
Yeah.
That was so funny. Anyway, so we've been working with Kylie ever since to try and get her to stop correcting.
Yes.
And she still corrects her.
Oh, she's still, yes.
But anyway, so sometimes we have our own little correction police officer right in our house here.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, so we're bringing it back home. So we explain it, I do it differently. Normalize it. Normalize it by explaining, I do this all the time too. This is not about you guys. This is about helping me stop correcting you. And if you guys want to jump on board and try to stop correcting everybody in the effort of connection, let's do it together. And invite it. Hey, so when you're upset, will you let me know? I'm just going to respond to what I think is upsetting you versus correcting any information at first. Would that feel good? Should we try that? And then if I am going to correct you, I'm going to ask your permission first if you're ready for it. And then model it. Let them see you pause. You can even talk it out loud and say, hey, I'm seeing that you're upset and there's a part of me that wants to try and help you feel better. But I'm going to put that on hold while I just stay with your upset feelings for a little bit. And is there more you want to share about how you're feeling right now? I think just even letting them know you're modeling that you're trying to do this a little differently. That can be very connecting.
Yeah. And I think just to note for those parents, I'm thinking like if I were a parent that wasn't right now practicing this collaborative parenting model, the first thing that would come to my head would be, well, what am I supposed to let them just be wrong or have grammar that's not correct or choose the wrong words or say the wrong thing? And the idea behind all of collaborative parenting isn't to not guide or help your children. It's to maintain connection. And if they're shutting down, you're not guiding and you're not helping them because they're going to rebel and push your guidance away. So even if you're correcting their grammar, that's not landing. You said it out loud. That might offer you some relief. Oh, I did something, but it's not landing and embedding for them.
Or it hits them so hard that it fuels the inner critic voice. And now they start to want to not make mistakes because oh my God, this correction is so uncomfortable.
Yes.
So if we can make correction comfortable, then we do that by trusting that they want to fit in. Yes. They want to belong. They want to speak with grammar that everybody else speaks with.
Right.
So just wait and do it when it can be connecting, when they're ready for, when their system is ready for it. So I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying connect to what's going on first and then check in and say, hey, if you say some words that are different, is it okay if I tell you how I would say it?
Yes.
My guess is they're going to want to hear it at that point because there's such care and they've already been seeing what they wanted to express from their heart before.
Yeah. Walk them out the door and whisper in their ear or whatever that is. But yeah, because otherwise they're going to have perfect grammar, but you're not going to hear it because they're not talking to you, So the idea is, what's the bottom line? And the bottom line is to maintain that connection with our children so that we have the opportunities to guide and help them through life.
Yeah, there's this belief that if we don't do it, it's not going to happen as parents. And we have to start believing that our kids will grow up and be successful, productive members of society because it meets their needs to do so.
Yes. It's so funny. This is totally tangential, but at the same time, it's how children meet their needs when it's important to them, regardless. So we just moved into this new space and our children each have their own room, which they haven't had for a bit. And they're so excited. And making beds is not a top priority, especially in the morning. It's never been in our house. But now the girls have these beautiful rooms with these nice, comfortable pillows. And every morning they make their bed. And the other day I had a friend over and she's walking through their immaculate rooms, just like, how do you get them to make their bed in the morning? And the answer is, I don't. They want to put up their beautiful pillows, so they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, they're proud and they like how their room is.
Yes.
In fact, we don't make our bed.
I know.
But they made their beds. In fact, if I slept in their bed, they're like, Dad, you need to make my bed when you're done. They're yelling at me to make their bed.
Yes.
Like it's just mind-boggling to me.
And that was done without us. So the idea being that, yes, we're helpful, but we're not the end all be all for how they succeed in this world.
I think we have an inflated sense of all that we do and how that contributes. And we also have an inflated sense of all that we don't do and how we think that's going to negatively impact, or they're going to be lost without us.
Yes.
I think neither are accurate reality.
Yeah. I think it's balance, finding that balance.
So after we model it, we'll go back to bringing it home, model it, show them how to do it, and then practice it.
Yes.
Tonight, make it a point. And if your kids don't do it, you and your partner can sit there and say, hey, or whoever's there, or you can ask one kid to do it while the other kid's talking. Say something, and I'm going to model not correcting you, even though it might not be how I would say it, or we don't have a shared reality. So I like those little fire drills.
Yes. And I think you would model it as the corrector or as the one being corrected. If you notice that you are being corrected, you can also turn the conversation back and say, hey, can you just sit with me in this story for a minute and then we'll get to that, which is a gentle way of noting the correction and also asking for continued presence and connection in the moment.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so what is one last thing as we get to the end here?
I really like what you said earlier, which is honor the energy, not the urgency. And I think that's what I would leave with, is really honor the energy of the present moment, of the present situation that you are in, rather than the urgency to fix, to correct, to get it right, and risk breaking the connection.
Quick recap here, the tool of the spirit over the letter. Make sure we get that. Pause the impulse to correct. Watch yourself. Shift, don't grab the moment. Stay with the person. Stay with them. Please just give that a shot. I'm telling you, it's going to make a big difference. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe, review, and send your stories to us at together@webetogether.com. And we're excited to continue talking. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.